Hi there, I hope you're having a great day. Today I'll be showing you how the Boolean modifier works in Blender, and I'll be creating this simple little scene. By the end of this video you should have an idea how the Boolean modifier works, and hopefully you'll see ways that you can use it to speed up your modelling. My name's Michael, I make game dev content based in Unity and Blender, and I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Leave a like and all that stuff, and on to the video. Here in Blender with our cube, what we're going to do is spawn a second cube with Shift A. Mesh cube, just move that over to here, and then we're going to go over to the modifiers panel on the right and add a modifier Boolean. There are three options here. You have intersect, union and difference, and you have an object picker here. We're going to select the object picker and we're going to choose our first cube. Now what is the difference between intersect, union and difference? You can see it is doing something here. Intersect will make everything inside your mesh stay. Union will join the two meshes at the point where they intersect, and difference will cut out the part where they intersect. If we just go into wireframe mode, you can see here with intersect our cube is only keeping what's inside the target cube. With union we are joining them together. And difference, you can see it's cutting it out. Now the actual Boolean operator won't run until you press apply. So with difference selected, we can press apply and we get this shape. If we apply union, then we'll get a new mesh, which is a combination of the two. And if we use intersect, we'll just be left with what was intersecting. Depending on which of your meshes has the modifier and which is your selected mesh, you may end up with different results. You're going to end up with different results. With the Boolean modifier on this mesh set to difference, if we apply that, we end up with just this slab. Then if we go back and we put the Boolean modifier onto this one instead with difference, and apply that, we end up with a little hole in the box. Now knowing this, we're going to create a street with some pavement. Start off with our cube and make it the height we want our pavement to be. Then we get our second cube and we're going to make it a bit smaller on the x-axis and a bit bigger on the y-axis, so it's covering up these sides. We're then going to bring it up to about there, make it so the pavements are a bit wider. Then we're going to click on our bottom mesh here and add the Boolean modifier to it. Select our other object. With difference selected, we are then going to apply that, get rid of our original cube, and now we've got this shape here that we can then scale on the Y, and with some color we could probably turn that into a street. We can take our cube here, we can put it on the road. We have a makeshift building, although a building does need windows. So let's create another cube, and we're going to scale that down on the X about there, and we're going to spawn in another cube, and we're going to create a window. Instead of spawning 4 cubes and then doing the Boolean modifier 4 times, we can instead add an array modifier to this cube, set it to 2 and position it using the X and Y on these coordinates, so it's roughly where I want the holes to be. We're then going to add another array modifier, this time moving it on the Z axis. I'm then going to position them into the original cube, and now we're going to do the Boolean modifier. We can just select any of our cubes from the array. With difference, we press apply, and we have a little window. We can then take that, shrink it down, plop it onto this house, and we have a window. We no longer need these 4 cubes, so I can just delete them. We can create a garage really fast. Let's say we want it to go here, and then spawn in our extra cube, get it about the size we want the room to be, and then do another Boolean difference, delete our cube. Now we have this little garage mesh here that we can put loop cuts through, bring the roof down maybe, give it an interesting shape. We don't necessarily have to just use cubes either. Take a cylinder. I'm going to bring down the vertices on this cylinder down to 8. I'm going to rotate it on its x-axis, make it nice and big. We have this cylinder here. I'll duplicate that. I'll make it smaller on the Z and X axis, so about there. Make it a little bit longer so we can get holes on both ends. Then we put a Boolean onto our bigger cylinder, apply that, and get rid of our smaller one. And we have a little tunnel. So I've used a lot of the difference Boolean. What about the union? Let's take a cube, and maybe we want to have like a sign up here of some sort. So we position that around there. And then we put the Boolean modifier on, select the object we want to have a union with, that union apply. Now underneath this object is going to be the object we had union with, and that may make it look a bit funny when you move around. So just click the old object and move it or delete it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that object, make it into the shape of a doorway about there, place it in where I think a door would go, generate Boolean, another difference Boolean. Oh, this is on the wrong one. And we're going to do another difference Boolean, then make this door a little bit smaller. And now we've created a little scene, put a little splash of color on that, jump into the shading tab and throw some color onto this. We'll make the road gray, pavement, and then we'll make the middle part dark. Gonna make the tunnel the darker color. Whoa, that is very dark. Up the roughness on that. We'll make the building red or brown. The window, I'll make that also a brown. Then I'm gonna grab the back faces and make them a blue. I'm going to change the color of this top piece to be like a darker red. And then I'll make the garage also the dark red. And now we have a simple blocked out street that you could then start adding detail to this, put more detail into the door, add more buildings, add somewhere where this road goes to. I hope this video has been helpful in showing you how the Boolean tool works and maybe some use cases for it. I'm going to show you quickly something I made when I was using the Booleans as well, which is not really related to this, but this is what I was making when I learned how to use it. So what I'm going to spawn in is an icosphere and set it down to one subdivision. We're going to go into edit mode. We're going to select all the vertices and press Shift Control B. And with that, we've made this ball. Took a cylinder, create a ring like this. Put the Boolean modifier onto the cylinder, select the icosphere as the object, apply that, and we have a nice looking low poly ring, which I suppose you could use to make a flying game where you have to go through rings for a city. What I wanted originally was to have little tracks in this. So to finish off this thing I was making, I then made this a bit smaller and put the Boolean modifier onto the icosphere with the cylinder as the object. Applied that, and I had this cool little trench going through the icosphere. I then took the ring and just quickly did this with kind of cool object. I think I'm going to be using this for item boxes in my game. That's the video, just a quick video on the Boolean modifier. I hope you found this useful. I hope you created a little town thing. If you did, let me know. Please subscribe for more game dev and modeling content. My next video is going to be about the programming concept of inheritance. Anyway, have a great day.